Welcome to the LyondellBasell Center for Petrochemical Energy and Technology for today's Economic Alliance Women's Leadership Luncheon. Due to another commitment, I'm unable to be there in person with you. Thank you so much for attending today's event. March is Women's History Month, so it seems appropriate that the first Women's Leadership Luncheon of the year is happening this month. It's a time to celebrate the contributions women have made to the United States and to recognize the specific achievements women have made over the course of American history in a variety of fields. It's also a time for us as a region to recognize and thank the women who are leading us in our workplaces and in our communities. Your commitment is noticed. This year's Women's History Month theme is celebrating women who tell our stories. And I can't think of a better time for all of us to tell our own stories. We're each unique and special, and we have an incredible story to tell. That's what makes these luncheons so rewarding. You get to hear about the remarkable stories of women leaders from around our region, and today is no exception. I can't wait for you to hear Kate Lightfoot's story, an incredible female leader in our community, and she's a great friend to all of us. I thank you again for joining the Economic Alliance for today's luncheon. Enjoy the rest of the program.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to our LyondellBasell Center for Petrochemical Energy and Technology. My name is Jim Griffin. I'm the Executive Vice President for this area, and I get the opportunity today to have a safety moment with y'all. So I'm looking at some of our plant people. Maybe a lot of the community folks don't realize that your chance of getting injured in a petrochemical plant is lower than if you worked at a grocery store, worked at a restaurant, or even at a college. So a lot of our industry members, while they work on safety inside their facility, they do off-the-job safety. And they try to do that in a very timely moment. It's March. We had a big freeze in December, so many of you are working out in your yards. So today I'm going to spend a minute or two talking about personal protective equipment. So when we do a project, an activity in one of Kate's plants, right, the workers wear personal protective equipment. So what would that look like if you're working outside, right? If you're like me, you go out there with a pair of shorts on and flip-flops, not a very good move, right? So we ask you to wear some solid shoes, work boots if you have them, right? Long pants, long shirts. That's not easy in Texas when it's in July and it's hot, right? But this time of year, you know, maybe you can pull that off, right? Gloves. Why is that so important? Well, hand injuries are the #1 injury. Why is that? Because we use our hands, right, to do work. And, you know, back in the day, if you went to the feed store or the hardware store, there were 2 or 3 types of gloves. Now there's a dozen of those, right? So we ask you to keep those handy because you can injure your hands. And then lastly, these things right here, right? These safety glasses. So for those of you that know me, you may know that I have no vision in my right eye. So, you know, it's really critical for me when I wear these safety glasses, but I would suggest for all of y'all, because one is they're made out of polycarbonate. Just another safety item that's made by the petrochemical industry. But, you know, back in the day, there weren't many of these, one size fits all, but now all different types, all different types of safety glasses, and when you drop them, they don't break. And easy to wear, right? And so what I do is I have them in my garage, I have them in my truck, I have them in my work area, you know, throughout the house. So just a little safety talk about when you're working out in your yard and fixing up your garden for the spring. So again, welcome to our center. For those of you that are first-time visitors, and if after this event you would like to take a tour, we have 35 custom laboratories that are designed by our industry members. We have staffers here that will take you around and show off our laboratory. So again, welcome, have fun today. And what a great crowd, Chad. So I'm going to introduce Chad Burke, Executive Director, Economic Alliance.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim. What a wonderful facility. Thank you to, again, San Jacinto College, Chancellor Brenda Hellier, who serves on our executive board, and of course, Jim Griffin and all the staff here for opening up this venue to us. There's just nothing like it. If you do want to take a tour, I highly recommend it. It's one of the most impressive training facilities in the entire country. Again, I'm Chad Burke with the Economic Alliance Houston Port Region. What a amazing, amazing crowd. Our women's leadership luncheons have grown into something that I still can't explain. The leadership of the committee that puts this on, and I'll introduce their chairman in just a second, but the leadership of this committee is like nothing else we have. It's phenomenal. The networking, the fellowship, the marketing, the ability to communicate and do business with others, and just the ability for us to highlight women in our region that bring leadership and growth and prosperity to this organization and to the region is something that's it's just really, really special to all of us on staff. So, and a quick round of applause for Maricela in the back here, who has thrown this event for us. So the entire staff works hard. The committee is amazing, but none of this happens without Maricela throwing this. So special thank you to her. I do want to, I don't have a list of elected officials, but I have to introduce our newly elected Harris County Precinct 4 Commissioner, Leslie Briones. Leslie. So Commissioner made a special trip. This is not in Precinct 4. We wish it was, but it is great to have her serving Harris County now on our Commissioner's Court, and welcome, and hope that everybody can have a chance to meet her throughout the day. So with that, I want to introduce the chairman of the committee that makes all of this happen, Wendy Gormley. Wendy?
Good afternoon, everybody. Can everyone hear me okay? Well, thanks again for coming. We're very proud of this organization. We're very proud of the way these lunches have grown. And I'm very proud of what my expectations are for the next 2 years. And before I move further along in this program, I want to take just a quick poll because I want to make sure everybody leaves appreciating what I hope to deliver. Can I please get a show of hands for anyone who has never been to one of these luncheons before? Wow, thank you. Thank you. Okay, well, as most of you know, this is a women's luncheon. We're hoping to highlight women of industry, women leaders in our region. And I want you to understand who our committee is, for one, what we hope to deliver. I think that's important because there are a lot of extremely powerful women that I work with to pull this off. And I want to just have the committee members stand for a moment. Committee members, can you stand for just a second? And just quickly, I want to announce some of the core committee members that have been here for the last 2 years. In alphabetical order, we have Allie McLeod, PhD, Director of Environmental Services for BGE Engineering. How about that title? And thank you for your applause, but I'm going to ask you just hold it for a second. Let me get through these names, and then y'all can all clap, okay? Amanda Balcom, she's with the Economic Alliance, and she is a technology whiz that helps pull all of this off. Danny Grant, HR Manager for Mitsubishi Chemical, who's also a 10-year Marine veteran. Elizabeth Tracy Schiller, she's with Marketing with O'Donnell Snyder Construction. We have Jennifer Almaguer, who's been very involved in the committee. She's the Director of Marketing for Community ER. Jan Gonzalez, Senior Vice President of Bank of Texas and Commercial Lending. Jean Julian, Vice President with Reiner Engineering. Christy Claypool, Executive Account Manager with Metter Staffing. Lindsay Meany, Director of Business Development for Arco Design Build, and my personal fashion consultant. Monica Baynertz she is the Director of Sales for all of Coastal Ice, y'all. And also one of our sponsors. Natalie Pica, partner of Royal Harbor Partners and absolutely dynamic marketing person. Nellie Bakhtashi, who's been extremely involved in making sure that Methodist has been involved with us, and we love her and couldn't do it without her. And Sabrina Schwertner, Director of the Association of Chemistry, Industry, and Technology, who also works with TCC and keeps us connected to that world. We have a few others that I'm sure I'm missing, but I want you to understand the magnitude of the women that are working on this luncheon for you. And I want you to understand that if any of you are still in the process of moving up that corporate ladder, you want to speak to somebody that can help you understand this predicament or situation that you're currently dealing with, I want you to know that you can lean on the committee. That's one takeaway I hope for you to gain today. Second takeaway is look around the room. I've personally reviewed attendance records of the last 3 luncheons. We are not pulling in anybody mediocre. All of you have director positions, managing director positions, marketing director positions, senior vice president. There are C-suite executives in this room that are decision makers. If you are struggling, you need to reach out and tell somebody who you're looking for and what you're struggling with. And every woman in this room right now that has already achieved the position that they're in, you need to be in a position where you can pay it back. That's why we're having this luncheon. So that's your second takeaway for the day. The third takeaway is our speaker, and you'll learn a little bit more about her later. But next on the agenda, I'd like to thank our sponsors. If you guys look at the little pink thing on your table, that is the coolest thing ever. It's a little nail kit by Lane Marketing. We're so glad to have had her provide these gifts to you guys. This is gonna go in my travel bag. I travel a lot for work now, and this is the one thing that I'm hoping my children will not steal from me. You've also got a little scrunchie. It's an Astro scrunchie from Nellie at Methodist. So thank you guys both for your gifts. We have a valet sponsor who is providing their services free of charge, Eli Valet. So if any of you are having any events in the future, I'd hope that you consider them to host your valet services. We have 2 event sponsors, OxyChem in Harris County, Texas. We have our host sponsor providing this wonderful facility, which is San Jacinto College. And our presenting sponsor, Coastal Ice. I'm gonna have Scott McAllister, pardon me, and Director of Sales, Monica Baynix, come up and say a few words to you.
Thank you so much for allowing us to be here today. It's really a privilege to come to an event like this. This is my first one, so I raise my hand as well. This room is a who's who. And you can imagine if you walk in here the first time and maybe you're just starting your career or maybe you're returning to a career after raising kids, you know, how intimidating something like this could be. But really, the Economic Alliance and this committee have changed that setting. She just summed it up. You can come in here and share your stories, your experiences of how your career and that path to that success happened. And you have women that might not come up to you and ask you anything, but they will hear. And they're asking you to share these things. And you know, maybe you wouldn't approach someone in a business setting like you can do it right here. So congratulations to that and the Economic Alliance and what they do. I'm going to talk about this young lady real quick. So 4 years ago, she used to work for some very large EPCs. And when we were fortunate enough to pick her up, she made a comment to my wife, which is here on the table. She said, I didn't know if I'd ever have a seat or a voice in the industry. And that resonated really loud and clear with us because we're a women-owned business. And so we wanted to make sure she had every opportunity to be where you wanted to be, And so she first started attending this, and she came back. She said, I love this so much. It's such an incredible place. You know, I want to do more. I want to be involved more. And we said, well, what do you need? And without hesitation, she said, money. I need money. I need sponsorship money. I need giveaway money. I need to buy tables. I want to bring customers. I want them to share the same experience that I had to the first time I walked in that room. And that's what this is all about. And so, you know, today is really about you. We're presenting sponsor, but we're here to talk about what this does for you. And if you can imagine how you're juggling life, you know, family, maybe you're a caretaker, maybe you've got young children, and you're just trying to get through, and in your spare time, run a plant for Exxon. 50, 60 hours, probably 7 days a week, however that works out. But, it's incredible that you have these events. And so I wanted to tell you, when she first started, she started bringing customers and doing these things, and now she's actually the co-chair. So that's how proud we are and what this organization can change. And so you always hear the glass ceiling thing that's, it's talked about all the time, but in this group it doesn't apply. It's the glass floor. So every day that you walk in, you're starting where everyone thinks that they want to get to. And let's be honest, the glass ceiling only existed because the guy that had your job before you took it over and made it better. That was his limitations. So congratulations to each and every one of you for the dedication that you've already done and really committed to in your careers. So if I don't talk about the company real quick, my wife's going to give me a pink slip. And so we've actually been married for like 37 years. We've been in the ice industry for 32. Being second in the charge, not a new gig for me. But so what we are really, we're an ice and water company, but we're more than that because we really do a lot of stuff with electrolytes, and we call it just a complete hydration solution. So we have sustainability things that we offer now. And so I want to talk about this for Chad real quick. This is what great events the Economic Alliance put on. A few years ago, he had the president of Chevron Phillips speak, and what he came up was talking about what advances are taking place in the chemical industry. And like Exxon has now, an advanced recycling facility that they just opened up in Baytown, Texas. Through those advances, you're able to take plastic and turn it back into a liquid feedstock. That liquid feedstock can come back and be produced into bottles and stuff like that. So we've been trying to find ways for sustainability for a long time. I think my wife summed it up. She said, "Hey, genius, you got to do something about the plastic bottles." Well, lightning struck at the Economic Alliance Growth Forum 2 years ago. And I'm going to tell you, if you haven't attended that, please go. Take your customers. You're going to have so much information coming out of that you should really support that. And congratulations on that success too, Chad. But with that being said, we were so fortunate to be in business here on the Houston Ship Channel and all the opportunities that was given to us from you, that out of that Economic Alliance Growth Forum and the advances of plastic, we came up with a situation that we're taking, since we're such a large provider of plastic bottles to you and your staff, we have a new situation now that we can retrieve those plastic bottles. We can help you retract them out of your place, track them to a cell, and with that cell, we're going to take the proceeds and give back to the youth that are trying to break into the industry. So we opened a Coastal Ice and Water Foundation. So your support is allowing us to give back to charity and help people not only further their education, but maybe be prepared for the first day that when you give them an opportunity to show up, either buy a TWIC card for them, buy safety stuff that Jim was talking about. And so every time you provide water to your staff, you may be helping the kid next door. They may be helping their own child for their education, and that's what we're here to do. So we appreciate your support, and it allows us to give back because we've been very fortunate to be here. So real quick, the Houston Ship Channel, what does it do? And how does it change family-owned businesses? And how fortunate we are to be here. We're the largest provider of ice and water in Harris County and Brazoria County. And the manufacturers that we represent cover many states, but I'll give you a real quick one on ice. The Houston facility covers from Baton Rouge, coming west, Beaumont, up towards Livingston, go to College Station, kind of draw a line down to Bay City, and then back around the coast. So think of how much ice is sold in that geographical area. Now, we represent 20% of the entire bagged ice community, and 85% of those sales, total sales, are in a 35-mile radius of this building. That's the impact of the Houston Ship Channel. So that's why we thank Chad for continuing to bring businesses here, informing you of what that's doing, and helping everyone out there survive. And we've been told that from the same thing from the water company. So the water company came to us. They have 20 plants in North America. We are their largest customer here in the one that operates out of Houston. Out of their 20 plants that run 24 hours a day, they told us a few months ago, we're in their top 10 customer base for all 20 plants. And all of that, again, is 35 miles from this building. So thank you and thank your employers for everything you do for us to help others that are in need. And if you've ever met Kate Lightfoot, you know why this building is sold out.
Don't steal my thunder.
And if you've not met Kate, you're going to leave here today and you're going to realize that you are the leaders in the backbones of your communities, and there's no one else that can make it any better. So thank you, Kate. Thank you, Exxon, for allowing you to come out here today. And I know I went over on my time, Chad, but I really appreciate that. It was very important for us to say. Okay, really quickly. If all of you could stand up and give Kate, yourself, and every attendee a standing ovation for the success that you've already achieved. Really quickly, while I've got you standing up, look underneath your chairs. If you find a Monica Baynard's business card, we have free gifts for you at the Kendra Scott. Thank you for attending and give us a few minutes. What is it? Woo! Thank you.
I love seeing the chairs flip over, y'all. We're getting rowdy in here. Well, thank you, Scott. Truly, thank you. Now we're going to have Dr. Jan Wheeler from our charity, Project Joy and Hope, come up. And part of the give back that Scott had is obviously for our partner, Kendra Scott, who gives 1% of all the proceeds for everything you get back to this fantastic charity. So, Dr. Jan Wheeler, Project Joy and Hope was founded in 2000 as a result of the vision of Jan Wheeler, educator, inspirational speaker, and advocate for pediatric palliative care in Texas. Dr. Wheeler envisioned the supportive care service agency because the end-of-life journey with her teenage daughter, Valerie Grace, who died in 1999, 28 months after her initial cancer diagnosis. Advocating for children with special healthcare needs and their families, Dr. Wheeler is a co-author of chapters in the textbook Palliative Care for Infants, Children, and Adolescents, a Practical Handbook, published in 2004. Dr. Wheeler has been honored as a 2006 champion by Texas Partnership for End-of-Life Care and was the 2004 recipient of the International Diana Award for Philanthropy, whose distinguished list of recipients includes former First Lady Bush. Dr. Jan Wheeler.
Do you believe in miracles? At your place setting today is a butterfly. I'd like for each of you to find it and touch it and hold it and look at it, examine it. You know, butterflies are beautiful and they're joyful creatures that symbolize the transformation of the soul as well as hope. My daughter, Valerie Grace, believed in miracles. Her exact words to me one day were, "I don't know why this has happened to me, Mom, but I know one thing. Because of me, people are going to be changed. Parents are going to begin to look at their own children differently. They're going to wake up, see the sunshine, and just be glad for another day." As you hold this butterfly in your hand for a moment, I want to share some miracles that occur every single day on Tulip Street, just a few miles from here. Project Joy and Hope's campus is located right off Spencer Highway. It's a 3-acre pediatric palliative care campus designed to support families at some of life's most challenging times when a child is critically ill. The campus consists of 12 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes, as well as a 6,000 square foot pediatric palliative care center equipped with state-of-the-art education facilities, legal services, family and child life programs, and volunteer support services. With the collaborative partnerships of Texas Children's Hospital, MD Anderson Pediatric Cancer Center, Children's Memorial Hermann Hospital, and hospices throughout the state, Project Joy and Hope is a beacon of hope to families who seek medical treatment and come here from all over the world. We're truly a home away from home and a beacon of hope for families when a child has cancer, waiting or recovering from bone marrow transplant, heart, lung, liver transplant, or utilizing end-of-life palliative care services. Our mission is to comfort. To palliate means to comfort, and our support does not just give families a roof over their heads. It gives them an array of support from not only our staff, but more than 400 or 500 volunteers that interact with families. This mother that you see here is now living in the community, supporting her child, giving back to the community, and working at home through the gift of technology to support her child as they now continue. Child was not expected to live. Miracles do happen. I'd like for you to see these pictures today because pictures really do tell the story. You'll see a young girl in the upper left with a rare surgery where her knee and leg were transformed backwards. She lived for a very long time. She spent her last days at Project Joy and Hope with her family. I'm happy to report the miracle is that her brother Ben is doing well in school. Her family is now gainfully employed in another city, and they continue to come back and enjoy visits with their Project Joy and Hope family. You also see in the picture Houston police officers who volunteer, a family who came here looking for support from Mexico when their child needed special treatment at MD Anderson Cancer Center. We have an art facility at Project Joy and Hope where children find a reprieve and a respite from their daily visits to the hospital. These faces really tell their own story. We find that families are needing more than just one room. They're needing a home-like environment. They're needing support, and they're needing connection. Many of them come back year after year and share time with our staff. For some of them, these are pictures actually that were taken last week. We have some children here from Pakistan that decided that the sidewalk needed some help, and so they created some art for us. We have a mom from Uganda who's seeking a bone marrow transplant for her child and had nowhere else to go. You see some bro love there on the right. Sometimes I pay my staff to do more than input information on a computer or use the phone. Here are these pictures that you see is where we brought snow to the grounds this Christmas. Siblings connecting with one another. AJ in the upper right, it was his last snow day. You see JJ here. Pray for JJ. He had a difficult amputation. He loves the Astros, and I'm a little mad at him because right now he's on his way to New York to a Yankees game. And then sometimes the joy and the hope is simple. It can be donuts. It can be a swing. Sib shops are something else that we do once a month, and you can help me, ladies in business, get the word out. We're here to serve families in the community who have special health care needs. The healthy siblings are often ignored. We have a program for them every month where there may just be special, go places they can't afford to go, and in the summer we have a free 3-day camp. Get folks in your companies involved to identify families that could use this resource. This was last summer's camp. lots of fun. I didn't win the cupcake decorating contest, but I had a great time. There's so many ways to help us. You may not know that this year we're celebrating $1 million that we've distributed in scholarships to bereaved children who've experienced the death of a sibling or a parent, as well as recognize them for their resilience, their community service, and their excellence. There's so many ways to get involved. If you can walk, run, hop, skip, come out to the monument on April 15th and be a part of our fun run. We still have volunteer needs for that event. By the way, thanks Coastal Water. You're providing the water for that event, of course. We're excited about that. And I want to thank all of you who are getting involved. If you're really wanting, we like to put the fun in fundraising. And so if you've never been to the Monument After Dark, nobody has. We're having a special event on April 15th called Monument After Dark. You can come out to the monument, enjoy margaritas, tour the exhibits. Gringos is going to bring in food. La Madeleine's going to provide your dessert. We're going to drink, dance, have a great time, and raise above that $1 million mark for scholarships and for families who need grants to help them that may not live with us. We're going to light up the night. Roar Over Texas is going to do a great fireworks show. There's so many ways that you can help and get involved. You can pray for our families. That's the most important. Like our Facebook page, volunteer. I have the most beautiful QR code on the planet. It is sitting on your desk. So if you don't wear earrings at Kendra Scott, use that QR code and help some of the families that you just saw. I'd love for everyone to get involved today or take that and share it with someone. Lastly, I want to tell you the secret. Just last week, a family in Utah made these butterflies for you. You're seeing River Henderson here. She spent her last days at Project Joy and Hope with her 4 siblings and parents. She returned to Utah a few days before her death, and that was 3 years ago. Now you see her family that is still alive and well and happy and thriving. They came back about a month ago, had dinner with us, and attributed a lot of it to the joy and the hope that they experienced at the end of River's journey. So this is a message of joy. Some of them say joy. Some of them say hope. This is your gift. So the question is, do you believe in miracles? Think about your own journey of joy and hope, your own transformation, and remember what my daughter Valerie said. Wake up, see the sunshine, and just be glad for another day. Thank you.
I said, they asked me to pray, and I thought, well, we already ate, so I'm just going to say, bless all that's within us, you know. But no, if we could just take a moment to bow our heads in prayer, please. So, Father, we just thank you so much for this day and just every aspect and every detail we commit to you of this luncheon. We thank you, Father, for our speaker and just the opportunity we have to learn and to grow together. Give us open hearts and ears to hear, Father, so we can receive. Father, we ask, Lord God, that each and every one of us, that we would just really just move forward, Lord God. Help us to make good decisions to do that, Lord. We pray, Father, over the Economic Alliance, over San Jacinto College. Thank you, Father God, for this organization so that we have the platform to come together, Lord. We bless this day, we commit it to you, and we just give you the glory for who you are and for what you're doing in each of our lives. In Jesus' name we pray together. Amen.
All right, everyone, thanks again for your attention. And now for our featured speaker, Kate Lightfoot. Her bio is in your program, and in essence of time, I'm going to skip reading it if that's okay. But I want you to know that at one of our last committee meetings, we were sitting back talking about our speakers for the next 2 years and really wanting to highlight the fact that our speakers are not speakers because they're women. Our speakers are speakers because they're badasses. They're educated, they're tough, and they have grit. So I've not known Kate for long, but we had one Zoom call, and within the first 10 minutes, I was like, she's got it. So without further ado, Kate Lightfoot.
So let's start with a question. When is the last time you said the words, "I am sorry"? Ooh. For me, I'm working very hard to remove those words from my vocabulary. It's not because I don't believe in an apology. In fact, I apologize quite often. I apologize when I've used words that didn't meet my intentions. I apologize when I've had a behavior that wasn't my best. And when I do, I use the words, I apologize for. The reason I'm removing the words "I'm sorry" from my vocabulary is those words don't serve me well. In fact, as I've grown and hopefully become more wise in my 46 years, I've discovered many aspects of my life for which I'm absolutely unapologetic. And so I'm going to walk through some of the aspects of who I am as a person, in my roles as a wife, a mother, and a leader, and where I am on my journey for being unapologetic with you today. So there's many aspects that I'm not sorry for. And I'll go ahead and skip to the end for a moment. I'm going to ask you the same question at the end. What's your not sorry? I'll start with the fact that I am unapologetically a Christian. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I believe in the Holy Spirit. I was raised that way, and I've made the choice throughout my adult life to continue to pursue life as a Christian. When I'm at work, when I'm at ExxonMobil, and I've got a couple of tables here of people that I've worked with for a while, I often speak of God-given talents. And when I say God-given talents in the workplace, it's because I absolutely believe that we are given God-given talents, and it's all about finding our genius in order to use those and serve our purpose in life. When I tell my coworkers who are having a challenging time, "I'll pray for you," they can bet I'm praying for them. I live that way and use those words each and every day, not because I'm on a mission to change the way every person around me thinks and change what their beliefs are, but rather so that they see me owning my truth and they're more encouraged to own theirs. As a wife, I'm unapologetically devoted. So these pictures are of my husband, Ronnie, and if you can't tell, we kind of like the Astros. Just a little bit. His mom is here with me today, and she'll tell you, started when he was 4, 7, some extremely early age. And passion is a light way of saying what he is about the Astros. That being said, when I think about my devotion to Ronnie, it's based on the way I was raised. My mom is also here, and she used to tell me and piss me off that my daddy came first. And I would be like, that's crap. No, it can't be. I should be first. I'm your daughter. And she always made it clear to me that wasn't the case. I have one daughter, and I've pissed her off plenty of times by explaining to her that my relationship with Ronnie comes first. And the reason for that is I've learned that in order for my life to feel like it has order, I must have things good in my marriage. Now, that does not mean that Ronnie and I don't disagree. He's very easy to disagree with. But what I do know is no matter what challenge we're dealing with, whether it's a challenge about parenting, a challenge about running a home and managing finances together, or even a challenge about a conversation at an Astros game, that our values are in lockstep. And it's always very comforting to me to know that our values are that aligned. And for that, it always helps me stay devoted to him no matter what. And out of all the people in the world, my relationship with him comes first. I'm also unapologetic about the caregiving that I provide for my kids. So I have 3 children. Allie is 18, Will is 16, and Gavin is 6. The pictures of the youngest are always the cutest, right? So that's why Gavin's being spotlighted here. For me, there have been many, many times when I've been at work, I've had a lot going on, I've been in a meeting, I'm working on a deadline, and the phone rings. And I've got a sick kid. And in every one of those cases, I've stopped what I was doing at work and left and went to my children. That's what's comforting for me. I know that's maybe not the choice that's right for everyone, but that's been what's true for me. And what's true for me is I don't delegate sick kids. I step in and I provide that care each and every time. And I've had to do a lot of explaining to the men I've worked around. I've spent most of my career as the only woman on a team, and have definitely been in the minority in terms of the teams I've worked with being in a female role. And so I've done a lot of explaining about why I made that choice. And what I've learned when I did that explaining, it wasn't to try to get validation, it was rather to educate. Because most of the men I've worked around had wives that were at home that were handling the call about the sick kid. And what I have found is I've really been able to help other men understand what's important for me, and in all cases, I've been respected for that. I'm also unapologetically supportive of my kids. And for my older kids, what that means is for Allie that you see here, she plays varsity soccer at Hargrave High School in Huffman. And for her, it means that I'm there to cheer her on at her games. For Will, he plays every sport he possibly can. Doesn't he look excited to have his mom with him? Will plays football, Will plays baseball, he plays baseball in high school, he plays baseball in the summer, he plays, that's what he does. And, you know, for him it means being at his games. It also means for Gavin, their younger brother, who is their #1 fan, it means managing the logistics so that I can make sure that Gavin gets with me to get to their games. I work in Baytown. My kids play sports in Huffman. Any of you that know anything about the Huffman School District know that every game is like 2 hours away. You're in Little Cypress, Mauriceville, or Orange. Last night I was walking down a road about a mile down a gravel road where I parked out in Hampshire in the rain trying to get to Will's baseball game. And so for me, making those choices, planning ahead on my calendar, my staff support here, Joy is here. She works with me tirelessly to make sure my calendar is set up so I can be at Allie's and Will's games. Now that said, a couple years ago, I also made the decision, and I've been unapologetic about being late to my kids' games. Because one thing I found is between the logistics of getting there and also do you have a minute as I'm walking out of the door at work? I'm often late. And what I've learned is that's not what's important to my kids. They don't care what time I show up. They just care that I'm there. I'm unapologetically outspoken. How many times have you been asked a question or had an opinion and you began the phrase, "I'm sorry, but." I'm looking at some of the women I work with. One thing I find is it is bred into us, it is part of our nature to say, "I'm sorry, but." And I've learned to stop apologizing for having an opinion, to claim the credibility that I've earned in my career, and to simply become outspoken and offer my opinion. And I would encourage you all to do the same. If you start with "I'm sorry," you discount what you have to say. And every time I've stopped some of the females that I'm looking at now that I work with, and I've asked them after the fact, "Are you really sorry?" They tell me, "Not for a second." And so I encourage you to be outspoken, to be unapologetic about claiming your opinion, because your opinion does matter. I'm unapologetically accountable. So this is a picture of me in front of our entryway of our site, and actually one of the plants that one of the females here runs for us, Christine. When it comes to my role, we manage a lot of risk. We manage a lot of risk for the people within our sites. Jim talked a little bit about that and how hard we work on making sure people are safe within our sites. Every day, I am accountable for the safety of hundreds of people. Lately, we've had a turnaround, and I've been accountable for the safety of thousands of people each and every shift for several months. I'm accountable for the safety and health of the people that are in the community around the site that I lead. And I take that very seriously. I'm also accountable for 100% compliance with our environmental permits. And in fact, my name is the legal name written on those permits and signed on those permits all year long. And so for me, being accountable is not daunting. I've had to grow into that, for sure, and it's been a journey. For me, it's not daunting, it's actually an opportunity. And the opportunity comes with being able to create a culture where people do what's right, and where we have leaders at every part of the organization making sure that they do what's right. And if they always consider the safety of the people inside the plant, outside the plant, and our compliance with our environmental permits, then they'll always make the right decision. And so being accountable as a leader is extremely important, because when I demonstrate that accountability, it becomes comfortable for everyone in my organization to demonstrate the same. I'm unapologetically confident as well. We do a lot of feedback at ExxonMobil, and recently I got feedback that Kate's can-do attitude can be overwhelming for the organization. And I have that can-do attitude because I believe in the people in my organization. I believe in the men and women that come there every day to do their best, to always operate with good intent, and to ultimately do what's right. I thought a lot about that feedback, and I decided to completely disregard it. And I did so because when I really take a step back and I think about my position as really the number one at my site, if I don't dream and I don't have views of what we can deliver as an organization, then who will? I'm unapologetically feminine as well. I've mentioned a couple of times that I work in what has historically been a male-dominated field. I've worked on teams that are primarily male, and I've never let that stop me from being a female. I get up every morning and shave my legs every day. It makes me feel like a female. I shave my legs every day. I wash my hair every day. I put on makeup every day. And then I put on my jeans and my flame retardant shirt, and I go to work and I put my boots on. That said, the lip gloss never leaves. I always have on my lip gloss. And part of that for me is I never want to back away from the way God made me. He made me a female. Being a female for me means having my legs shaved and my hair fixed and my makeup on, my lip gloss on. And I own that. And I never have backed away from what that meant for me. In fact, I'll tell you a story. There was a time that I was in a group. I was the only plant manager that was a female, and everyone else was a male. And we had meetings as a group often, and they would be at a headquarters campus in spring, and those meetings would start at 7 a.m. And one day, I asked several of the males, do you know the math it takes me to get here like this by 7 a.m., including working out in the morning? I'm like, do you know what time my alarm goes off? Could we please start at 8, for God's sakes? And guess what? The meeting time got changed. But they had no idea the number of hours it took for me to start with, putting those feet on the floor, going and working out, and going through the whole process, including shaving my legs, so that I could be there and be present with them. So I've never walked away from being feminine, and I would encourage, for whatever works for you, never walk away from it. Be who you are and be who helps you feel your best each and every day. So where I'm going is to learn to be more preserving. As a leader, as a mother, as a wife, and just simply as a person, I've learned that it takes a lot of effort to retain capacity. I mentioned the high-risk business that I'm in as a leader. I must always be ready to manage a crisis. Those of you in the community around our plants, you expect that I'm ready to manage a crisis and to make good decisions. And in order to do that, I must retain capacity at all times. I've learned that living exhausted is not a badge of honor. Living depleted is not a badge of honor. And for me, it starts with sleep. You see a picture, this is actually from my iPhone, a picture of, a night of my sleep. One of the things I'm focused on right now in my life is to try and be horizontal 8 hours a night. For me, that translates to 7 to 7.5 hours of restful sleep. That's tough. It's tough having 2 kids that play sports. It's tough having a toddler. It's tough having a family. That said, I'm learning that that is an upstream priority for me, and all other priorities flow from that. And so I'm learning to become more unapologetic in that space. I'm also learning that movement is incredibly important for me. I've always been someone who worked out, and I choose to work out in the mornings. That's what works for me. It's my time. No one else is awake. And it's what helps me feel my best throughout the day. I'm also learning that movement when I get home is important. I've spent the last few months every evening going for a walk and spending that time with my puppy and my 6-year-old. It's kind of our time together. I'm also learning that I've got to be really thoughtful about what fuel I give my body, what I put into my body, and how much of it. I love to eat. And I'm learning that I've got to be much more thoughtful about that. And all of that, may sound selfish to some, and for me, for a long time in my life, it felt selfish to put myself first. But I'm learning as I get older and my roles are expanded that I must have that capacity, and in order to do that, I have to put myself first. And it's not selfish, it's actually selfless. And it's so that I can be the best I can be for everyone around me. And so I mentioned at the beginning that we would come back to this question together. I've told you what's true for me. I talked about my belief system. I've talked about my role as a wife, my role as a mother, and how I approach my role as a leader. What resonated with you? What's your truth? And what is your not sorry? Thank you.
So Kate has blessed us with a few minutes extra for some question and answers, and I think she just posed the question, right? So Wendy's going to cover this side, and I'm going to kind of cover this side. So do you want to open it up for some questions?
So I'll look at my table of ExxonMobil women here. I think they will raise their hands or nod at you. I will literally take any question. There's nothing you can throw me off by. There's nothing that's off limits. We can talk about leg shaving. We can talk about working out. We can talk about Astros. We can talk about anything. So I'm happy to take any questions from anybody, or even just a reflection or an insight that resonated with you, because I think that can also resonate with others.
Yes, here we go.
And maybe this side of the room, if anybody's got a question, raise your hand, and Wendy can get the mic to you, and we'll be ready for that.
Hi.
Okay. Hi.
I'm Stephanie Galloway with Spring ISD, and I'm a CTE engineering teacher. I am also the co-sponsor of the Environmental Club. We have a recycling program. How can we connect with you so that you can collect our plastics?
Ooh.
We just went straight to work there, didn't we?
Yeah, she's like, so I'm going to need somebody to call. What I'll tell you is I don't know the exact answer, but one thing I have learned, and this is very interesting, I know you all have probably learned a lot, our ability to recycle plastics as a society it's just horrendous. Like, we're not in a good place yet. There's been a lot of work on technology development about separation. There's a lot about landfill management and how our waste is picked up. And so the fact that you all are working on that is tremendous. We've got to figure out a way, because I would say we're further ahead on being able to process recycled plastics than we are as society to be able to get plastics separated so that we can get them to the right places. So if you will find me afterwards, I will just hang right here. I know there are people here that can help me get you directed to the right place with ExxonMobil. So great question, and it's a huge challenge for us as a society right now.
Okay, go ahead.
You're welcome. Okay, over here. Yes, ma'am.
Mine is not a question. My name is Teresa Martinez. I've been doing business development for a while in this industry, but now I am president of JDC Commercial Services.
Congratulations.
Something that you said today that just stuck with me. I am usually the only woman on job walks. I'm the only woman in meetings. I did a PowerPoint presentation at Noble Drilling one time, and I just looked around at the table and all these powerful engineers, and here I am giving this presentation, and I asked them, I said, do you mind if I get this picture? Because nobody will really believe this. They loved that. They totally loved it, and just wanted to say, I really, when you said that, it just clicked in me. Wow. Yeah. All of us ladies here, guys, I want to give you all a hand, because as you know, we are the minority in this industry, but hey, we're out there, we're doing it.
That's right. And the good news is, in terms of industry, we're growing our seat at the table. And so, what I'll say to that is, when you are the only female, just acknowledge I'm the only female and I've earned my place to be here. When your opinion is sought, give your opinion. If everyone's just interacting and nobody's like, you don't have to be asked for your opinion, provide your insights. You do have something to add. Every single person here does. And I will tell you, it's what's helped me on my way is I've not been afraid to speak up and say what I think. So keep going.
Back here real quick. Hold on. There we go.
Oh, sorry.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Rory Ortiz with Next Level Urgent Care. My question is to do with, yes, you were in a heavily male-dominated field. How did you look for or find mentorship? Because I know having a mentor can really help and shape your career and give you a path forward. So how did you find those individuals given just the career field you were in?
Okay, great question. And my answer, I would say, is probably a little different than most. I've only had one female supervisor in my entire career, and it was for a very short period of time. I've always reported to a male. And I've also only had male mentors. I also think there's something to be said for that. I didn't look for a female to teach me my way. I learned from the males that had been successful to teach me my way and to respect who I was as a female, including when I needed to leave for the sick kid and when I needed to take care of my marriage. And I've been very, very, I'd say forthcoming with challenges in my life, whether that was a divorce earlier in my life or challenges I've had medically with my youngest and needing to be away from work a lot. I didn't shy away from that. I shared all those details with my male supervisors and mentors, and I believe that's what gave me the support that I needed, because they knew at the end of the day I was still going to show up and be the kind of leader they needed me to be. And so I would say, don't just look for females. It's great to get a female perspective. You also need the input from males, and you need that advocacy to continue to progress in our field.
Hi, I'm Patricia with Boral Agency. First off, great presentation. Love to hear your story. Now, throughout my life, I started my agency with my sister very early. And a lot of times I found myself that a lot of people will either judge me for being too young or, try to really block my light, right? So I imagine you especially going through a very male-dominated field. But not only that, but going up the corporate ladder, you probably found yourself with a lot of people trying to block your light as well. When was that pivotal time that made you say, sorry, I'm not sorry, but I'm gonna shine bright?
Ooh, okay, a pivotal time. So I would say probably the most pivotal time for me, and I don't know that I would say anyone was trying to block my light, but I felt like I didn't have much light to shine. And that's when I was going through a divorce. And I didn't feel like I had anything left. And one of those male supervisors that I responded to the other question with said to me, give me 30 hours a week. In ExxonMobil speak, especially, 15 years ago, those words didn't come out of people's mouths. Because I was telling him, I'm like, take me off of whatever list, get me out of this job. Like, I can't do this right now. It's too much. And he said, give me 30 hours. You can deliver more in 30 hours than most people can in 60. And if you give me that, you're going to be okay. And so, I think it took, and I think this is, if I think of multiple examples, it takes being vulnerable. It takes talking about what's really going on with you and looking for the support to try to get some boundaries around what can I deliver so that I've got a light to shine. And I think, even if you're encountering someone or some group that's trying to block your light, I think it's important just to say, what's it going to take for me to win your support? That's essentially the conversation my supervisor and I had, because I'm like, I quit. I'm out. I can't do this. And he's like, 30 hours. That's all I need. I think it's always important. Understand what it's going to take to get that support, to earn that respect, to earn that credibility, and then go after it.
One question back here.
Sure.
Thank you very much for a very inspiring speech.
Sure.
My name is Judy Cushman-Dubose, and I have my own small private consulting company that is female veteran-owned. But I would like to take this opportunity to introduce to you some women that have their lights shining very brightly and that are serving our country and have been deployed multiple times. First of all, I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Maylee Eskelin. If any of you have questions for your children or your grandchildren or even yourself regarding scholarships for college or students, please see Maylee. I'd like to introduce you to Major Guzman, who is in charge of the Medical Recruiting Command. as well as Sergeant First Class Johnson at the Medical Service Command. All of these women served in combat roles, and all of these women helped protect our freedom. I'd also like to introduce you to the civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army, Ms. Myrna Trevino. She reports directly to the Secretary of the Army. I'd like to introduce you to First Lieutenant Ryan Grady. I did bring a couple guys along.
Good.
And Major Eddie Oliveira. I almost said the name wrong, sorry. Eddie is a Cougar from U of H. Ryan is a West Point grad. If you have any questions about either of those programs, please see them. My question to you is, as a Baytonian, I think it's important, all of the wonderful work Exxon does to keep our community safe, and all of the different drills that I personally know that you all do. Could you expand on some of those kind of things? Because I don't think the majority of our community understands that Exxon is a protector of our community. They take that very seriously.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, I mentioned always being ready for a crisis, and that's because the world that I lead in is not zero risk by any means. It's also a world that's incredibly important for society. Jim even talked about some of the products that we make. The plant that I am accountable for makes ethylene. Ethylene is used in the production of polyethylene, and I can promise you something between your purse, your jewelry, your chair, your cup comes from a source of polyethylene. And so also continuing to make products is incredibly important, especially given the supply chain world that we live in today. And so because we operate with risk and because we have incredibly important role to play in society, we also have to be ready to respond to risk. For ExxonMobil, we've got people trained at our sites 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that are operating the plant, that also have some dual training in how to respond to any loss of containment. We have certain procedures. We have what's called an incident command system ready to go at all times. And we actually, to the point of the question, go through drills of having a major loss of containment. We go through drills to include other industry partners to come and help assist us, or us them, because we do work together as an industry. And all of that makes sure that our processes and our people and ultimately our judgment and our decisions are ready to go at any point so that we can protect the community around us. I sleep well at night knowing I've got trained people that I trust 100% at my site, and I can speak on behalf of other site managers that I see here in the audience from other companies that they feel the same way. So we do trust the people that we hire, we train them, and we practice a lot. So thank you for that question. That's a great educational point.
Kate, I think we've got one more question over here, and I know there are several of you in the crowd that have more, but in the essence of time, we're just going to take one at the moment, and you can follow up with us later if you still want Kate to answer a question for you, okay?
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Unsueta. I'm project engineer with Kurari. What words of advice do you have for women who just started their career in the petrochemical industry and aspire to develop into a senior management role just like you?
Okay. So first of all, I would say the aspect of learning in our always changing industry is important. If you have in your mind that you'll never get there, you'll never know enough, you always can learn more, it's way less frustrating to go through the course of your career or go through the course of time as things are changing. So I think approaching your career every day with a learning environment and just taking on, trying to learn everything that you can is important. I would also say, I mentioned some of the people that operate our plants. If you want to know who actually knows how our plants work or the equipment that you're helping to support or design, you need to get out in the field with your boots on and your hard hat and talk to operators, talk to maintenance technicians, talk to people constructing the plant. All people are proud of what they do, and everybody likes to talk about themselves. Universal truths. And so going to the point of work and being curious is part of learning, but it's also paying respect where people have invested their lives and they see you there to support them, they also know you care and you want to know about them. And so starting off a career, those would be my two main words of advice, and have fun. It is a high-risk environment, but these ladies I work with will tell you I come to work with a smile on my face every day, and I enjoy what I do despite the challenges. So learn, go see the people that really know how it works, and have fun while you do it.
Thank you, everybody, again for your attention. Thank you so much, Kate, for your speech, and I can totally identify to like everything that you just said.
You shave your legs every day?
Well, no. But we actually have a speaker gift for you. This is from BGE Engineering. This is Allie McLeod. I'm constantly in awe of this woman because she's a PhD. She's a committee member, and I just think that she's pretty amazing. But anyways. Thank you again for speaking. Mm-hmm. We hope to see you at some of our next luncheons.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Well, ladies, in conclusion, we really hope that you enjoyed today's presentation. Again, we do have door prizes for you that Chad's going to announce here in a moment. Don't forget the Kendra Scott pop-up shop, where a percentage of proceeds goes to Project Joy and Hope. I hope that you got some aha moments out of today. And again, your takeaways are you have a room full of women that are dynamic. Please try your best to leave with at least 3 business cards of people you haven't met yet. We would love ideas for future speakers. If you're interested in participating in the committee, you can come talk to myself and Maricela. And I think I'm going to hand it over to Chad to announce the door prizes.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Wendy. And private notes there. One more round of applause for Kate. And y'all don't know the excitement in the committee room when she confirmed to speak, right? So we've had some amazing speakers, obviously with Chancellor Hellier, I think being one of our most recent ones, the Burrell sisters, and now Kate. So we're really fortunate. So thank you very much, and great job. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you a little bit about the Economic Alliance. So in 3 minutes, here we go. The mission of the Economic, because there's 25 to 30% of the people have never been to one of these events. Our mission is really straightforward. We're a regional economic development corporation. Our footprint is the Houston Ship Channel, basically. The 12 cities, Harris County, Port of Houston, all of the industry that surrounds that ship channel. That's our footprint. Our mission is to grow that footprint. It's to convince good folks like Exxon and Carrari and LyondellBasell and Dow and all of these companies to continue to put money and capital into the ground that creates jobs that make all of our businesses thrive. So that's what we do at the Economic Alliance. To be competitive, and competitive is the word of the day and the word of the year. To be competitive for those capital dollars, we have to be good in public policy. We're taking 45 people to Washington, D.C. next week just to advocate for specific projects in our region. We're in Austin multiple times during session advocating for policy and finances to support this region. We have to be good in infrastructure. We do 2 things in this region. We make things and we move things. And if we don't move things good, then people want to make them somewhere else. So we have to have infrastructure that supports the ability for us to make and move those products. We have to have quality of life. As I mentioned, we have 12 cities that are members of this organization. Our companies want to be able to reach into those cities and grab their trained workforce that want to live in communities where they can raise their families, they can educate their kids, they can employ they can have good employment close to home. So we have to have quality of life. So we work really hard with our communities on quality of life. Workforce development. Patty Bell is our workforce development director. Patty works with the community colleges, the industry, and our local high school systems to market the careers that you just heard about, right? If you're new to the industry, you got there through a pathway. Patty Bell and her committee and that group inside ECMA are the ones that lay that pathway to students so that they can step into these careers. Last year, she had over 70 different events and touched almost 8,000 students with career opportunities, right? So that's developing the pipeline. And then finally, thought leadership. You just heard an example of thought leadership. The Economic Alliance is blessed to have amazing companies, amazing leaders, amazing people that are part of it, leading the organization. We tap into that and then turn that back around in the way of presenting events like this, like our Gulf Coast Industry Forum that happens every year. We take that knowledge, we push it back out into the communities so that you can use it to grow your business and position your business in a way that makes you more successful. Our report card is how many projects we win for the region. This is a report card over the last 14 years, total 77 project wins that we got the privilege to work on to help land in this region, totaling over 17, now almost $18 billion in new capital investment and over 3,000 jobs. That's what we do to make an impact, and that comes because of the work that you do out there. Get involved. There's a lot of ways to get involved. Obviously, you can network like Days Today, increase your company's visibility, have your voice leveraged with other members in this region in events like Scott talked about earlier. Impact, the way that you can align with companies will impact your businesses. And then again, finally, that insight and knowledge that we gain from really just being a region that works together. These are some of the events that we talked about. You'll see those, 11 different events, almost 4,000 people. Subscribe to our podcast. I see one of our co-hosts in the back corner there, Zeke, with Apache. We have a podcast that does the same thing that our Outlook conference does, and that takes leaders like Kate, like any of our site managers, our elected officials, and we put them on those podcasts so that they can talk about what's happening. It comes out once a week. I think the next one comes out today or tomorrow, and then I think Captain Clint, yours will come out next week from the Houston Pilots. So lots of key information happens on our podcast, so take a look at that. With that, I will say once again to our committee and to the staff that puts this on, thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. Have a blessed day, and go Astros.